Hello everyone, Tenno Ranger here, today with another video. It's my family or warframes. Today's family member is my oldest son. Now his character, his operator, would be none other than Master Ranger. Now Master Ranger is a character that I enjoy because it has a lot to do with a favorite show I used to watch called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Now, Master Ranger's main warframe that he utilizes throughout my little fandom lore would be none other than Harrow. Harrow is paired up with this. Yeah, there you go. There's Master Ranger right there. And Harrow is paired up with none other than Diriga. Now, Diriga is one of my favorite. I didn't expect it, but he's one of my favorite companions to use. I like using him for Harrow just because of how easy you can just melt away. If I just stand there in my operator mode, I can just stay in one spot, just plant him in the middle of so many enemies, go invisible with my operator, and let my companion, a little jellyfish looking companion right there, just melt away these level 100, 200 steel path enemies. And he just does it. It's incredible. It's a really fun warframe to use. Harrow, let me tell you, I didn't know how to use, when I first got him, I didn't know how to use him, the regular version of him. Once I started messing around with his abilities a bit more, started chaining them correctly, and you got to do it correctly to get the most out of that build. Yeah, let me tell you, you got to do it correctly, because holy crap, and this guy smack damage on enemies if you chain those, all his abilities 1 through 4. Do 1 through 4 the correct way for me to, that I do it. Maybe it's not the right way. Maybe there's a much better way to do it. Much better sequence, much better pattern. But yeah, Harrow can crit. And right here is just a good little view of how powerful, how amazing the aesthetic, the look of Harrow is. Now, Master Ranger is essentially the Zordon, the leader of the Power Rangers in this part. He is the, now his whole, lore within the lore, his little backstory is actually, he is the old wise, character in the story where he chooses his defenders, his heroes, in this case warframes, to take up the mantles as defenders of this universe, which are one of my favorite superheroes ever, Power Rangers. Now, Harrow is, I guess you could call him a 6th Ranger, but he's one of the, like, Magna Defender, or from the Kaku Rangers, Ninjor, like, he is a 6th Ranger, but he's also his own entity in the sense of he helps the Rangers out, but he's not exactly a Super Sentai or a Ranger specifically that's always with the team. But if and when he joins a team, he's there, he helps. That's what Harrow would. But Harrow mainly is, in a sense, a bodyguard to Master Ranger. Now, I really enjoy Harrow. He is one of my very there's so many warframes, which is amazing. Harrow's one of my favorites to use. Once I started messing around with his build, it it just got so much easier learning how to use his shields, learning how to use a crit, using his 1, going to 2, using the 4. I want to say the 3 is to gather as much energy when you drain your energy pool, but you drain your energy pool to accumulate the number of energy per kill that you make. And that one I use before or after any of those. But yeah, I normally do the 1, I'll do the 2, I'll do the 4, and then I'll do the 3. And that is usually how I use Harrow, in that order. And it's really fun. It really is. I enjoy how he plays. I enjoy the get up. I do a lot, like right here, I do a lot of the Requiem relic farms, just because of how easy it is for diriga. This little jellyfish looking skin I got him. I think it's pronounced sky or skiff. It could be skiff. I'm not too sure, but it is a cool little cosmetic skin that I got on him to make him look like a jellyfish, closer in a sense to the look of Harrow. Now Harrow has a rumblejack with argonak combo. I forget the weapon synergy, but it pairs up very well with how I put it. I want to say I use one of the amalgam mods on the argonak that help it out with punch through, and I want to say something I tend to forget, but I want to say it had something to do with the punch through for the rumblejack. And the rumblejack, it's a melee influence build that I made. It just whipped for being a small little dagger that it is. It's not a. I think you get it in one of the missions that you play as a drifter, and you're doing one of the main quests. And yeah, when I do the little pattern of the abilities on Harrow, you can reach red numbers really good, very fast, pretty impressive. Like, it's hard to believe that I start seeing a lot of. He was the first warframe that I got to see a lot of red crit numbers with, and big ones too. But it's fun. I'm amazed at how quickly I'm able to utilize this warframe right here. Harrow's fun. Diriga's fun, and especially when I play and pretend to have Master Ranger as the leader of the Power Rangers. Now I do have my very own made-up team of Power Rangers, and I will do later on. I'll do a lot more videos on if my warframes were Power Rangers and which Power Rangers they would be. Now I have it all set up. I've had it for years. I played this game for about 10 years. And, it's not boring because I have a lot of what ifs. And these stories of family members as warframes is one of those many what ifs and what I think they'd look like. So I have a lot of fun, daydreaming, making up stories and backstories, of my very own backstories of characters of games that already have an existing continuity. And Warframe does a great job at doing having a lot of customization, having a lot of fun with the characters and the weapons and the story and open world, everything that it has to offer. So very easy to make characters and make my very own backstory and lore for them. Now, as far as the setup, that's another thing I need to be working on. Still not used to just throwing my builds out there. Probably do a lot more videos of showing all my builds that I have. Even though I know a lot of the community is very supportive, they give critique and they don't, bag on you for having a garbage build. Or I tend to think people think that there's a lot of garbage builds. To this day, I don't think I'm a good builder when it comes to these mod setups, modding warframes or weapons. I still think after 10 years of playing this game, I still don't know what I'm doing. I still mess around with the mods. I still mess around with the builds on each of the weapons and warframes and anything, that even the companions. I was very shocked to even get this setup with diriga, to be very honest. But here it is, diriga, just being able to be a nuke. Never would have thought that Potato Sack would have done something so crazy. Just start nuking enemies in Steel Path. That was to me, well, now I know the setup that I have for it. That seems to be working very well, and I'm keeping that one. I'm not trying to get rid of it anytime soon. That's the most any companion's ever done, any kind of damage like that. Look at that, it's just ridiculous. It shocks me sometimes seeing those numbers pop up. Now Harrow's pretty fun, man. It just, like I said, I do the Lasting Covenant, the Thurible. Yeah, the one he drains his abilities, or he drains his shields, sacrificing his shields for a higher crit. And I'm sorry, the 2, I believe it's the 2, his second ability is he sacrifices his shields for a higher crit, him and his teammates. The 1, it actually traps enemies in chains to regain your shields. And then the 4, traps a lot of enemies, catching a lot of damage. And then the 3 is the one where you drain your energy pool to see how much energy per kill you end up accumulating. The more energy you drain, the more energy you will potentially be able to take from the enemy drops when they drop energies. So it is a pretty cool little setup. So yeah, it's actually 2, 1, 4, 3. That's how I end up doing the abilities, chaining the abilities for Harrow whenever I'm playing any missions or open world bounties or anything like that. And like I said, diriga's just there for the shit, the giggles. And it's laughable, but man, the numbers he puts up are insane. Still can't believe being in endgame. Just being in endgame, it's fun to see diriga just put in those numbers, just crunch those numbers out on Steel Path enemies. I say right here, just melts away. He melts away arachnoid. Now that rumblejack setup that I was talking about, it is a melee influence build, but the argonak rifle that I have on Harrow, it has the amalgam mod that provides punch through. Now, it's a weapon synergy. I utilize it for the Rakta dart dagger that I have for my Oberon, and yes, I have an Oberon. I still utilize them just for fun. Unfortunately, I tend to use them on the lower level missions than I do Steel Path. It's really hard to keep them alive. I know, sounds dumb. I haven't built him for survivability, and I will eventually, but I just use him on lower level missions because he's more of an actual nuke in the regular missions than he is in the Steel Path missions. But yes, the the Dark Dagger and the Rumblejack both do a weapon synergy with the Argonak because of the punch through amalgam mod that it has for it specifically. Now the Rumblejack, the difference between the the Dark Dagger and the Rumblejack is that the Rumblejack innately has electricity on the weapon itself. So if you put a bunch of other elements on the weapon, a bunch of other elemental mods, you're still just going to have electricity, which is perfect for the melee influence build. What the Argonak rifle is going to do is provide the punch through, more punch through for the Rumblejack to increase the spread. If you have large groups of enemies in one area, it'll spread the status effects of melee influence, reaching every enemy in proximity. If you hit one, you are potentially hitting multiple all at once, and that's where the Rumblejack starts to become a very powerful weapon for Harrow. And to top it off, yeah, I have a laetum. The laetum is a naturally incarnate based weapon. You can pick it up from the Zariman with Cavallero. It is pretty powerful. I have a ribbon for it. I love smoking the enemies with it, especially when I use Harrow with it. I can crit pretty good. I normally tend to use the Nell. The Nell is actually a really good weapon for Harrow. Harrow actually doubles its ammo capacity, and I believe just damage. It boosts damage of that Nell weapon I have for him. Now, the Rumblejack is just a fun, really cool weapon. You didn't expect it to do as much damage as it does, but thanks to the Argonak and Harrow, it does great. It does amazing. Perfect melee influence weapon. Everything considered, it does great. Now, I don't tend to use the Argonak, but just because I already have Harrow can crit, so those headshots just become that much more powerful even when I am using the Argonak rifle. And no, I don't just have the amalgam mod punch through on it. I actually slap a bunch of punch through on top of the punch through that it comes with on the amalgam mod, which I don't know if it helps adding more punch through on the Argonak rifle to spread the melee influence for the Rumblejack or the the Dark Dagger, but it's definitely doing quite a bit of damage already on its own. And then the Argonak rifle it's not built so crazy, but just because I do have Harrow using his abilities to provide more crit, it for regular exterminate mission survival, making those headshots is that much more easier. A lot more damage. That's a lot of damage. Quite a bit of damage right there. Now, yes, as you can see in some of the videos, I utilize a different operator. Now, this would be my second son's operator, Riftblade. I call him Riftblade. Normally, I pair him up with Grendel. That is his main warframe. And also Limbo. Limbo's another one. But that's why I call him Riftblade. Riftblade's the reason I have him. This one lives in the Rift. Yeah, but he's another character for another video. Now, if if Master Ranger lived in Warframe, the universe of Warframe. He would reside in the Red Veil. Now, the Red Veil Syndicate lives on the Iron Wake. They have a base there. Now, that is originally actually where Rel's people, those who follow Rel. Rel is a character in the actual story who was fighting off the man in the wall for thousands of years. I would hate to believe that he's actually dead. If anything, he's just taking a well-deserved long nap after fighting the man in the wall for so long. Now, the Riftblade, my second son, I tend to use him on various missions. Now, I have a lot of them going, but Master Ranger is the one who utilizes Harrow Prime. That is his main. Riftblade has his own main, which is Grendel, and that is for another video. I really like using a lot of the characters that I make. I like making these backstories, and I really hope that you guys enjoy the content. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you everyone who supports this channel. I'll be coming up with more videos in the future. Tenno Ranger out. Have a great day. Like and subscribe for more.